Gentlemen, ladies, imagine stepping onto a luxury cruise ship expecting ocean views, candlelit dinners, and fresh sea air, only to discover an invisible threat may already be moving silently through the cabins. Not through bites, not through blood, but through the air itself. And the terrifying part? Most people have never even heard its name, Hantavirus. Now before panic takes over, take a breath, because this is not another COVID situation. But what makes this virus unsettling is how quietly it enters the body, and how fast it can turn deadly once it settles into the lungs or kidneys. And recently, after reports linked several serious illnesses and deaths to a cruise ship traveling through South America, health experts started asking a difficult question. How does a virus connected to rats and mice end up on a ship filled with passengers? That question matters more than people realize, because hantavirus is rare. But when it strikes, it can hit like a storm rolling through the body in slow motion. At first it looks harmless. Fatigue, fever, muscle aches, the kind of symptoms most people brush off as just a flu. But then something changes. The lungs begin to tighten. Breathing becomes work. The immune system goes into overdrive like an alarm system that cannot switch itself off. And in some cases, the body begins damaging itself faster than doctors can stop it. I'm Dr. Michael, and today we're unpacking what hantavirus actually is, how it spreads, why scientists take it so seriously, and most importantly, what you should and should not be worried about. Because fear spreads faster than viruses these days, and clear information can save lives. Here's the first myth we need to destroy immediately. Hantavirus does not spread the way most people think. Many hear the word airborne and instantly imagine crowded rooms and strangers coughing nearby. But hantavirus usually behaves very differently. This virus is most commonly linked to rodents, especially rats and mice. When infected rodents leave behind urine, saliva, or droppings, those materials can dry out over time. Then something incredibly ordinary happens. A broom sweeps the floor, a garage door opens, dust rises into the air, and hidden inside microscopic particles, the virus can travel into the lungs when someone breathes it in. That means the danger often appears in places people least expect. Old cabins, farm buildings, storage sheds, basements, rural homes, areas untouched for months where rodents quietly moved in before humans returned. It's almost like nature leaves behind invisible fingerprints, and most people never see them. Now let's talk about why this recent outbreak caught global attention. The cruise ship linked to the cases had traveled near the southern regions of Argentina and Chile, areas where a particular strain called the Andes virus has appeared before. And this is where the story takes an unsettling turn. Because unlike most hantaviruses, the Andes strain has shown rare evidence of person-to-person transmission. Rare, but real. Back in Argentina, one infected person at a social gathering reportedly triggered dozens of infections and multiple deaths. Imagine that for a second. One person at one party, and an invisible chain reaction quietly unfolding afterward. That's why epidemiologists monitor these outbreaks so carefully. Not because the world is ending, but because viruses teach us lessons when we ignore patterns. Now here's what makes hantavirus especially dangerous. The beginning is deceptive. Most patients initially feel like they're coming down with an ordinary illness. Fever, chills, body aches, exhaustion, headaches, maybe nausea. It feels survivable because it feels familiar. But inside the body, biology is already changing dramatically. The immune system begins flooding inflammatory chemicals through the bloodstream. Blood vessels start leaking fluid. The lungs can slowly fill as oxygen exchange becomes harder and harder. Patients often describe it as feeling like there's a tightening rope around the chest. And once severe respiratory symptoms appear, things can escalate frighteningly fast. Some forms of hantavirus pulmonary syndrome carry mortality rates close to 40%. That means more than 1 out of 3 infected people may not survive. And another form, which attacks the kidneys and causes hemorrhagic fever, can be even more severe. This is why doctors never dismiss unusual breathing symptoms after possible rodent exposure. The body whispers before it screams. And learning to notice the whisper matters. Now naturally, many people are asking the same anxious question. Is this another pandemic? Short answer, no. At least based on everything experts know right now. The World Health Organization currently considers the global risk low. Hantavirus does not spread nearly as easily as COVID. It typically requires very specific exposure circumstances, usually involving rodents or contaminated environments. So while concern is understandable, panic is not helpful. And honestly, panic can make people ignore the practical things that actually reduce risk. Which brings us to the most important part of this conversation. How do you protect yourself? Let's break it down clearly. Number 1. Never aggressively sweep or vacuum rodent droppings. This is one of the biggest mistakes people make. Sweeping can launch viral particles into the air like invisible smoke. Instead, experts recommend wearing gloves, ventilating the area, and disinfecting surfaces carefully before cleaning. Simple habits. Huge difference. Number 2. Pay attention to closed spaces that have been untouched for long periods. Cabins, garages, sheds, vacation homes, storage rooms. Rodents love quiet places humans forget about. And biologically, the risk increases because dried contamination becomes easier to disturb after sitting undisturbed for weeks or months. Number 3. Don't ignore sudden flu-like symptoms after possible exposure, especially if breathing changes quickly afterward. Early medical attention can dramatically improve supportive treatment options, including oxygen therapy and intensive respiratory care. And that's another important point people misunderstand. There is currently no specific cure or vaccine for most hantavirus infections. Doctors mainly support the body while it fights back. Oxygen support, fluids, mechanical ventilation in severe cases, sometimes dialysis if the kidneys are affected, which means prevention matters enormously. Now quickly, if this video has helped make sense of the headlines so far, take 1 second to support the channel. If you found this helpful, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and share this with someone you care about, because the right information can change someone's life. And tell me in the comments, where are you watching from today? Because one of the most powerful things during moments like this is staying informed together instead of staying afraid alone. Here's something else worth understanding. Viruses like Hantavirus remind us how deeply connected human health is to the environment around us. We often think danger arrives dramatically, sirens, alarms, chaos. But many health threats begin quietly: a forgotten shed, a dusty corner, a tiny exposure nobody notices in the moment. That's why awareness is powerful, not paranoia. Awareness. And for older adults or people with underlying health conditions, serious infections of any kind can place enormous stress on the body. Aging lungs, weakened immunity, cardiovascular strain. These systems already work harder with time. Severe viral inflammation can push them beyond their limits faster. But knowledge changes outcomes. The goal is not to live in fear of rare diseases. The goal is to understand risk clearly enough to respond wisely. And honestly, that's the bigger lesson here. In a world overflowing with panic, rumors, and headlines designed to shock people, calm information becomes its own kind of medicine. So no, this does not appear to be coronavirus 2.0. But it is a reminder that the microscopic world around us still deserves respect. Your health is not built in giant dramatic moments. It's built in small decisions repeated consistently, cleaning carefully, seeking medical attention early, paying attention to symptoms, staying informed without spiraling into fear. Tiny actions, massive consequences. And if today's story proves anything, it's this. Sometimes the most dangerous things in life are the ones we never think to look for. But small changes in awareness can create enormous protection, not just for you, but for the people you love. Stay informed, stay calm, stay healthy, and remember, fear freezes people. Knowledge moves them forward. I'm Dr. Michael, and I'll see you in the next video.